Movies and music have been inseparable ever since sound hit the big screen in 1927. Ever since then, we've seen unforgettable scenes powered by the perfect songs. But those moments didn't come cheap. Licensing fees for hit tracks, especially from big-name artists, have been known to reach astronomical numbers. But this didn't flinch certain productions at all. Today, we're looking at those films that gambled big on existing songs, not original scores, and how those million-dollar bets paid off. Or didn't. Let's start with Almost Famous, the 2000 film set in the final days of rock's golden age. Director Cameron Crowe pulled straight from his own life back when he was a teenage writer at Rolling Stone to create the story's lead character, a 15-year-old fan of the genre, writing for Rolling Stone itself. The film was built around the world of music, so Crowe opted to load the movie with iconic tracks from legends like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, The Who, and many more. Every song was handpicked to match the mood, and none of them came cheap. The music budget reportedly topped $3.5 million, but the gamble paid off. Almost Famous became a cult classic, earning an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay and a Grammy for its soundtrack. Let's move on to Forrest Gump, the 1994 film that followed one man's unlikely journey through decades of American history. Director Robert Zemeckis used music not just to reflect the changing times, but to carry the audience through them. From Elvis Presley to The Doors, Aretha Franklin to Bob Dylan, the film was packed with iconic tracks that anchored each scene in its era. Every song was carefully selected to match Forrest's emotional and historical journey, but clearing the rights to that many classics didn't come cheap, especially when you got names like Elvis and Bob Dylan in the mix. The music budget reportedly climbed past $1.5 million, an unusually high price tag for its time. But considering the outcome after the film's release, you might as well compare it to Bezos spending $50 million on his wedding. Forrest Gump went on to gross over $600 million worldwide, won 6 Academy Awards including Best Picture, and its soundtrack album went multi-platinum, selling over 12 million copies worldwide. But huge profits don't always mean success. Take the 2016 Suicide Squad. On paper, it turned a profit, but that didn't translate to audience approval, especially when it came to the soundtrack. The soundtrack was stacked with chart-topping artists like Black Sabbath, Kanye West, Queen, and 21 Pilots. And these weren't just needle drops for flavor. Many of the songs were locked in before the final cut was even finished. That meant editors were cutting scenes around the music instead of scoring music to fit the film, flipping the usual process entirely. The result was a movie that felt more like a 2-hour music video. But that technique, cutting to music, isn't always a bad thing. In fact, when done right, it can be a film's greatest strength. Case in point 2017's Baby Driver, where director Edgar Wright built the entire film around its soundtrack. Every scene, every car chase, every gunshot was choreographed to match the rhythm of the cult favorites from the John Spencer Blues Explosion, Queen, and many more.
Egyptian reggae.
Wright secured over 30 tracks for the film, and the music budget reportedly sat between $1.5 to $2 million, a serious investment considering the film's modest production budget. Baby Driver grossed over $225 million at the box office and earned 3 Oscar nominations, including Best Editing and Best Sound Mixing. The soundtrack charted internationally, and the film quickly earned cult status because in this case, the songs weren't added in post. They were baked into the script from the very beginning, a technique popularized by a classic crime drama. And our next entry, Goodfellas.
Rely on your friends and always keep your mouth shut.
Director Martin Scorsese was known for his obsessive attention to soundtracks. And in Goodfellas, every song was handpicked to reflect not just the era, but the psychology of the characters. From Tony Bennett and the Crystals to Cream and Sid Vicious, the music worked like a narrator, guiding the audience through Henry Hill's rise and fall in the mob. But this wasn't a soundtrack filled with background noise. Scorsese actually wrote specific songs into the script, timing entire sequences, like the infamous Lila montage, down to the beat. That level of precision meant heavy licensing fees, especially with tracks from the Rolling Stones, George Harrison, and other major artists in the mix. The exact music budget has never been publicly confirmed, but between the volume of tracks and the caliber of artists, it's widely believed to have cost several $1 million, huge for a film in 1990. But it worked. Goodfellas became a landmark in modern cinema, earning 6 Oscar nominations and influencing an entire generation of filmmakers such as Edgar Wright, who even pays homage to the movie in Baby Driver.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Now let's jump into Guardians of the Galaxy. Director James Gunn made the music just as essential as the plot or the characters. Instead of relying on a traditional orchestral score, he filled the film with 70s and 80s pop hits, from Blue Suede and David Bowie to Redbone and the Jackson 5. The tracks set the tone, but licensing them didn't come cheap. The music budget was reportedly soared over $1 million, but that risk paid off in a massive way. Guardians of the Galaxy pulled in over $770 million at the global box office with the soundtrack, titled Awesome Mix Volume 1, becoming a cultural event of its own, hitting #1 on the Billboard 200 and going platinum.